Welcome to the Real Estate Investing Club. This is the place everyday real estate investors gather to share their best stories, biggest insights, and favorite tactics to grow a portfolio of cash-flowing properties in today's market. Here's your host, Gabe Peterson.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Real Estate Investing Club. Today we have Mason McDonald with us from sunny Colorado. Mason is from RM Golden, and he is a land flipper, hospital CEO turned land flipper. So I'm sure there's a good story in there. Mason, I was just telling you, I did my first land deal recently, and I really liked it. So I'm super excited to dive into this. Thanks for hopping on the show.
Gabe, thanks for having me. Excited to share my story and talk about land.
Yeah, absolutely. I told you right before we get on here, we like stories. We like to hear how people got to where they are. So take us to the beginning of your real estate journey. How'd you get started in real estate?
Yeah, born and raised in Houston, Texas. And, I grew up in a family that my dad's a commercial real estate investor. So I was kind of always exposed to it. But I went down a different route. Went to college, wanted to get as many letters behind my name as I could. Majored in neuroscience for my undergrad, and got a master's degree in healthcare administration, started working for the man. Always wanted to be a real estate investor. I saw the opportunities. I read all the books. I listened to all the podcasts and, worked my way up rapidly in my professional career, became a CEO of a hospital out here in Colorado Springs when I was 26 and finally started having enough money to come in to invest in real estate. So that's what I did. I went to go meet with someone to invest in their townhome development, and they told me about land flipping. And I compared the returns in land flipping versus the 8% I would get being in a townhome development. And I said, let's do it. So November 2021, I purchased my first land deal. I paid $40,000 for 3 2.5 acre lots in southern Colorado. Went on vacation the next day, kind of realized how much that property was worth, quit my job when I got back before I even sold it. But when I did sell it, sold it for $185,000 and netted about 114 grand on my first land flip. And don't quit your job before you close your first deal. Making six figures on my first flip, got into it and haven't looked back since.
Nice, man. I love it. And it's great to hear that you had, your dad was in commercial. I've always been jealous of people who had that upbringing, who are kind of surrounded by real estate, because it really does give you the perspective and the motivation to jump into it. And so 26, you dove into land. That's interesting that you started there. Not a lot of people do, and I didn't even know about land as a strategy until recently. And I've been in real estate for a little bit longer. And so this piece of land that you first acquired, how did you find that?
Yeah. So I do direct mail marketing entirely in my business. So I sent this gentleman a blind offer, purchase agreement in the mail. I offered him I think 15 grand for one of his pieces of land. He said I owned 3, and we came, to about 13.3 for each of them. So I direct mail market. My systems and tactics and strategies that I use are obviously much more sophisticated and better now than when I first got started. But it was just a blind offer in the mail targeting people that had owned land in a particular area for a minimum of 10 years. And he said, hey, I'm old, I'm tired, I want to get rid of it. We're never going to do anything with it. And I work with a lot of people just like that. So but that was the first deal, direct mail marketing to someone that owned that property, I think for close to 50 years.
Damn. Yeah. It's land is one of those things that people they'll own for a long time and then almost kind of forget about it because it's very minimal what you're paying on it in terms of taxes and all the costs that it has in order to just have it in your portfolio. And so people will buy it, they'll leave it there, pay the very minimal taxes that they have to pay on the land, and then forget about it. Until somebody like yourself comes up and says, hey, I'll pay you for that land. And they're like, all right, let's do it.
I mean, you're hitting on one of my most effective marketing campaigns that I've done, recently. We sent, 8,000 postcards back in February or March, Colorado. I mean, it was the dumbest thing you've ever seen, saying, hey, are you tired of paying your property taxes on your unused vacant land? That campaign that cost me about, 3,700 is probably going to make me 600 grand. And it's that right there, because I knew property taxes were going up in Colorado, and I just hit on their pain points. And so it is so many people that have either forgotten about the land, and you're going to run into the unsophisticated motivated sellers, as well as the sophisticated former investors that just didn't want to hold it anymore. And I targeted them at the right time.
Yep. Yeah. It's always about, it's funny, even if you market to a list, you can market to that same list next year and still get leads from it, because you're right. You have to hit them at the right time. They have to be in the right mindset, the right life circumstances for them to really consider the sale.
You're right on.
Yep. So yeah, we've talked to a few land guys on this show. So I really want to, we've gotten a good overview of kind of how it works. So I really want to dive deeper into the strategy, into the actions that you take in order to make it effective. You mentioned marketing. Let's start there. Direct mail, it sounds like, is one of your bread and butter. Is there anything else that you do to, like, is there any specific lists that you like to look at? Any, do you market only within a certain radius of a city that you like, or how do you first identify the properties that you want to market to?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I can dive in. I don't gatekeep. So I get all my data from PropStream. And what I do is, from a macro level of picking markets to target, first and foremost, I'm looking at where do people want to live? Where are people moving? So you look at migration data and you say, okay, well, people are moving to Arizona, Texas, the Carolinas, Florida, and we've got a good amount of land transactions in Colorado too, which is where I live and where I started and where I make a lot of money. So start to just make sure that at a macro level, this is going to be a desired product at the end. Yep. Second to that, I target markets where I can see there's transaction data. I mean, hop on one of the third-party MLS sites like Zillow and Redfin and just make sure in the last 30, 60, 90 days, land is selling. And then what I do is I pull a list from PropStream, easiest and cheapest tool in my mind to use, where typically it's changed over the past year and a half, but I look at people that have owned their land for at least 5 years, and I target land use types of residential, recreational, agricultural, industrial, and commercial land. So I'm casting a wide net now where I'm at in my business, and then I send direct mail.
I was gonna say that nails almost everything but industrial. Like what?
I said industrial too.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah. I'm trying to get into it. Industrial outdoor storage is like kind of the new sexy thing. It's like what self-storage used to be 6-7 years ago. And it's I read an article recently, it's the $200 billion market no one's talking about. So I cast a wide net where I know there's transaction data, and I send postcards now. I don't send any blind offers. I say, some sort of clever, we want to buy your land for cash, or tired of paying your property taxes, or, a picture of my wife and dogs and I saying whatever. So there's a lot of creativity with it, but cast a wide net because the cost per lead is so cheap in this business, and there's such minimal competition that it just works in general. And just like you said, I don't view any of the other land flippers out there as competition, or any people that I teach how to land flip as competition, because you just have to hit them on the right day at the right time with the right life circumstance with the right piece of marketing material. Might be mine, it might be yours, but there's more than enough out there for all of us to win.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've even had, this isn't on the land side, but for the commercial side, I've talked to a seller, and then he got another, I talked to a seller, he said, no, absolutely not. And then he got another piece of marketing. Generally we take him off the list, but for some reason we forgot to do that. And he got another piece of marketing, and then called us again and said, okay, I guess I'm ready now. So you never know when your marketing's going to work. That's the lesson there. Okay, cool. So you really hone in on the type of properties that you're looking at. And it sounds like you don't care about zoning. You're just like, whatever. If it's zoned,
makes me money, man.
If it's land, if it's not owned by the government, then we'll buy it. And then you do mailers. And do you do anything else? Do you do cold calls? Do you do text marketing, RVMs, anything like that?
So I tried that. And I think it's useful for people to hear. So like I said, I came from healthcare, behavioral health specifically, and it's one of the most, if not the most regulated industries in the country. And coming from that environment where I had to go through 20 layers of corporate approval to buy like a refrigerator for our kitchen, into being, the solo entrepreneur. I wanted to get creative right off the bat. I made that 6 figures on my first flip, and left my job in January of 2022, and that's exactly what I did. I started texting, I started cold calling, I started the direct voicemail, I started being this creative guy. And you know how many deals I got doing that? 0. And then I sent out another 1,000 letters, got another 5 deals, 3 of which are still paying me today because I seller financed them. But total, it's going to make me another 120, 130 grand from those deals, from another 1,000 letters. So it's, I wanted to get creative, but what I've done instead is I've gotten really good at one particular marketing style, and I allow my creativity to come within that marketing style rather than other stuff, because you have to think about kind of the demographic that you're targeting, where it's generally older people that have either A, owned the land for a long time and they just want to get rid of it, or B, were potentially investors back in the day and they also just want to get rid of it. And they respond to mail.
Before we continue on with today's guest, I want to tell you guys about a community I'm launching on School to help investors like yourself grow your own portfolio. In this community, you'll get access to all the docs I use, all the systems I've built, everything I've used to grow my own portfolio, as well as instructions and guidance on how to get out there and find great deals, how to finance those deals, and then how to manage them for great returns. Since we're just launching it, the price will be set at a measly $20 per month, and whatever price you join at is the price you'll have for life. We will be increasing the price as the group grows, so if you're at all interested in growing your portfolio along other investors, now is the time to join. I will put the link somewhere in the bio or on our podcast website at therealestateinvestingclub.com, so if you are interested, head on over there. With that said, let's get back to the podcast.
Yep. Yeah, no, I like to hear that. I'm always a big proponent of choosing a path, and even within a niche, choosing a path in that niche and then really honing in on it, because you're right. When you try all the different strategies, it just gets dispersed and you're not really excellent at any of the specific mediums. And so just wait, if you're good at marketing or direct mail, really hone in direct mail, get good at it. If you want to add more later, go ahead. But I like that you're focusing in on one that works, and just taking it with there. Do you hire a VA to pick up the phone, or are you the one that's taking all the calls?
Yeah, so I used to be the one that picks up the phone, but no, I'm a firm believer of hiring people that are better than you. And that's what I did. So I hired an acquisition manager. He is salary plus commission, where, his base is, in the 30s, but his commission is tiered from 10% all the way up to 25%, depending on the EBITDA or net operating income, depending, on metrics that he brings into the business. So he'll probably have $250,000 a year, ideally. So I pay a lot of money for someone very sophisticated. He's got 20 plus years experience in real estate. So yeah, I have VAs in other aspects of my business, but in terms of, a 30-minute call that might make us $100,000, dude, I'm paying someone good. I'm paying someone really good. He's awesome. So shout out to John.
Nice. I love it. All right. So we talked about marketing. Let's talk about the actual sale of the property and getting it under contract. Really just more, you've already mentioned seller financing. I love that. How do you price the property once you talk with the seller? They say they have a plot of land. How do you price it? How do you identify the exit strategy? Do you like to subdivide? Do you get it platted? Like, what do you do once you actually get it under contract?
Yeah, I try to simplify everything. Dude, I'm a pawn shop for land. I buy land for cheap and I sell it for more. I'm working on doing some larger value add components, but I haven't done any small subdivides. The subdivides I'm looking at are, several hundred type of things now, but I haven't personally done them yet. So what we do whenever we get a lead inbound, we do our due diligence, just making sure there's access to utilities or whatever it is, depending on the type of property. And then we can verify. We use a tool called Priced, PRYCD. And that can pull a comp report pretty quickly for us, that pulls data from, all the third-party MLS sites. But we also verify ourselves, hop on Zillow, hop on Redfin, look what in the neighborhood is selling at that amount after we confirm that it's a usable piece of land, regardless of if it's recreational or residential. And that's going to give us a dollar amount. And then from there, it's just math of, ideally confirm with a local realtor that we're going to be partnering with on the sales side, confirm the dollar amount. And then it's just doing math backwards of we have our final offer price in mind. We start lower than that, and get it under contract, or we don't. We don't need to do any deals. There's so little competition in the land flipping space where it's just a numbers game for us. So once we get it under contract, we submit to title because we're just in title states. We insure every single purchase. We don't do any self closes. We just try to do it at the highest possible level. It ensures legitimacy in our business and sophistication for us as investors. And then we partner with a local realtor to sell it, offer a healthy commission. Sometimes we'll try to sell it to neighbors first. But yeah, I mean, it's as simple: buy it for cheap, use a title company, sell it for more with a realtor.
Yeah, I like when it's simple. Oh, I forgot to mention, did you look for a specific size of land, or do can it be 10,000 square feet to 50 acres?
Usable is what it needs to be. So, I mean, it happens all the time we've got a commercial piece of land that's a quarter acre lot. We paid, I think, $152,500 and we have it on the market for $325,000 right now. And I've got, a tenth of an acre lot all the way up to, 40, 50, 100 acres. So as long as it's usable for whatever the designation is, that's what we care about more than anything. So it like I said, like we cast a wide net because there's always money to be made on a deal. Even my worst deal where I really screwed up, I still made $140, which
money's money.
Money's money. But that was a loss on my part and failed due diligence on my part because I'm lazy. But to me, as long as it's usable. So we typically put our minimum, lot square footage as 3,000 or 4,000 acres, because most areas, if it's smaller than that, 3,000 or 4,000 square feet. Yeah. Not there quite yet, but usually that's going to indicate that it's a usable lot, depending on the regulations in each individual county.
Yeah, and then the grade, you guys, I'm sure that comes up in your due diligence. It can't be like a cliff. I remember I went to buy a piece of property in Leavenworth. It's a small German themed town here in Washington, because we wanted to build kind of a vacation home, and so it was a beautiful piece of land with the MLS pictures. But we got there. It was supposed to be 10 acres, but I swear to God, it was 9.75 of those acres was just sheer cliff. It was just, it was completely unusable.
Totally get that. And the thing in Colorado, we deal with that too, where if you saw the slope on some of the properties I bought and sold, I mean, it's ridiculous. And the engineering costs are going to be super high. But to me, as long as there's other homes around it that have been built, in a similar capacity, you get the walkout basements and everything like that. It can work. But then you see stuff like what you're talking about, where it's like this, and it's like, okay, unless someone's going to come drop $10 million on retaining walls that I can't even imagine to build some Hobbit home or something. It's all about usability for me.
Yeah. Yep. And once you guys have it under contract, when you're doing your due diligence, do you go out there yourself? Do you hire surveys and all that kind of stuff, or do you really just get it under contract, find a buyer?
It depends on the property. Some will require a survey that we know on the sales side, but yeah, I mean, we submit it to title and we sell it with realtors. So it depends on kind of what the end buyer is going to require as part of the closing process on the disposition or sales price side. But yeah, we really don't do any value add for it. But with that being said, that's why land is such a great place to be, because I mean, we were talking about it you can wholesale it. You could, once it's under contract, you could wholesale it. You could double close it. You could buy it and sell it yourself. Sell it with a realtor. You could sell or finance it. You could do horizontal development all the way up to vertical development, or doing a subdivide or a land lease. So you think about it, and then that's eight or nine disposition strategies. And that's what's beautiful about land, is because you can do so much with it.
Yep. That was actually my next question. It's going to have to be the final question here, because we are running the clock down. Financing, that's especially when you have multiple deals that you're working on, even $150,000, that adds up. You don't have that in the bank, just, $10 million waiting to be deployed. So how do you finance it? Do you double close? You've already mentioned that. That's the thing that would pop up most in my head, is just doing a double close, not having to bring the money to the table. How do you finance it when you do that?
Yeah, so I used to use my own cash, and then I got sick of the entrepreneurial life cycle of, I'm like, oh shit, I'm so rich now, and then I'd go buy and then I'd go buy a bunch of land, and I'd be really poor again. Yeah. So I don't use my own money in deals. I have maybe a couple $100,000 of my own money still in deals that are on the market right now, but I JV with people. So hey, you provide the cash, we split the profit type of thing, and the returns that my investors so far are getting, they're anywhere from, on the low end, 18% all the way up to mid 60, mid 70% cash on cash, and you annualize that, it's typically in the high 100, low 1,000 range. So that's great. I think this is really crucial for the people getting involved in the land space. Is there's not access to institutional capital to come do this. Banks aren't going to lend on it on a land flip specifically. So you have to have either a lot of your own cash or access to private money. There's people, companies that'll fund it for you, but they take, pretty insane profit splits. So that's both good and bad, because to me, that reduces competition for the people that don't have cash or don't know how to raise money. And it's great because, the three F's, the friends, families, and fools investing with me are, it's changing their lives too. And they just give me cash. So it's a fun opportunity for everyone involved.
Yeah, nice. I love it. Have you ever bought it with seller financing?
No, I haven't. I know a lot of people that will utilize that strategy of buy it with seller financing and then turn around and sell it on the back end. But I haven't had to do that with my particular properties. I've moved from kind of residential and recreational into these commercial deals that I'm doing now, because I said that one of, it'll double the money, and we got another one, same price, 150, that's listed for, I think, 450 right now. Yeah, it's just easier whenever the margins are that good to just buy it outright and find someone to profit split. Because, even on that one deal, the 150 for 450, I'll make six figures on it, and I didn't come up with any cash myself. And easy. So the investor is going to make an insane return too. And they came from the syndication space. So they see this return and they're like, oh crap, I want to stick with you, dude.
I'm done. Right on, man. Well, love everything you've said so far. We have run down the clock, so it's time to jump into the quick question round. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's do it. It starts with books or any form of education. Give me two recommendations, one for general life wisdom, one for real estate.
General life wisdom, I'd say Sapiens. It's a brief history of humankind. I think it's really important for us to understand how and why humans operate the way we do. So that's kind of general. Real estate related, I think it's not entirely, but The One Thing by Gary Keller. It's just being able to focusing question of what's the one thing I can do today that makes everything else easier or unnecessary.
Yep. Good books. I've heard of Sapiens. I hadn't picked it up yet, but I love those kind of books. So I should probably do that one of these days.
Go read it, man. It's worth it.
All right. Next question. This is for your younger self. So let's go back to the Mason who was just getting started in healthcare, had no idea he was going to be in real estate. Go back to him, look him in the eye, give him one piece of advice moving forward.
Take action sooner, dude. You had a great career, but if you had taken action a little bit sooner on this low dollar, low barrier to entry strategy, you'd be worth a lot more than you are today.
All right. Whoever is keeping track, another notch for people who said they wish they got started sooner. I swear to God, it's like 90% of the people come on the show say they wish they got started sooner. So, and that's another message for everybody out there who has not gotten started. You're just listening to the podcast, trying to get the information. There's nothing wrong with that, but don't wait. Get started. Go out there, buy yourself some land, buy yourself some self-storage facilities, whatever it is. Go get started, because we all wish we got started sooner. So leads us to the next question. This is about your business. The first three positions we hire for form the foundation of our business. So what were the first three positions you hired, and would you do it differently if you did it again today?
No, I think I'd do it the same. Of realtors to sell my property for me, a due diligence assistant to do the due diligence that I'm too lazy to do. And then third one is the acquisition manager to manage all the inbound leads. I'd keep it that way. Maybe due diligence first. Then you don't run into issues that us lazy people will run into.
Dude, I'm right there with you, man. I still haven't hired a due diligence assistant, and I've got all the other positions, but I'm still doing it myself just because I'm kind of anal about buying bad properties. But it takes way too much time to do due diligence, and I need to start offloading that. So good advice there. Moves us on to the next question. And this is about the US. It's a big place, a lot of opportunity out there, a lot of land to buy. So give me the single metro that you're most excited about investing in today.
Ooh, most excited about investing. We just moved into the Phoenix area and pretty excited about what's going on down there from a land perspective. So I'm liking Phoenix, Arizona. Haven't done a deal yet, but the ones we're looking at could make what we've made in a year in one deal. So Phoenix is kind of what I'm excited about right now.
Very cool. Side note, have you ever done anything in Washington?
Not yet.
Is it
if you have land,
good, bad for land?
No, I haven't looked at it yet. But to me, it's so easy to see whether a market is producing or not because it's all public data. So if people are buying and selling land, it's a good market to me.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, next question. We've already gone over this. I have to ask it anyways because it's on the list and I just can't skip numbers. But what is your favorite way to find good deals?
Send them a silly little postcard in the mail, man.
Postcards, they are the tried and true way. It's how I got started. So many people use them and they use them because they work. So postcards, love it.
And they're cheap.
Yeah, and they're relatively cheap. Yeah, once you start ramping up the numbers, they get expensive. But next question is about mentors. None of us are islands. We all stand on the shoulders of giants. So give me one mentor who has contributed significantly to your career today.
My good friend Brent Bowers. He runs the Land Sharks program.
Yeah.
He and I own a commercial building together. We've hung out together. So he taught me the way. Awesome guy and good friend. So yeah, Brent allowed me to leave my job. Cool. So shout out to Brent.
Yeah, Brent was on this podcast. I don't know, probably 6 months ago. Really knowledgeable guy. Knows a lot about land.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next question. This is about your strengths. We are all gifted with strengths that we uniquely provide this world. So what is your Superman strength?
I think it's getting people to believe in my vision. That's always been what I've been best at. Just leadership in general. That's how I think moved up to be not in a bragging sense, one of the youngest hospital CEOs in the country. At 26, I get people to believe in me, and I do it by believing in them and helping them and supporting them. So
there you go. Leadership, communication, super important in any job you're out there, especially in real estate. Leads us to the last question, and this is for the listeners. You've given us a lot to think about. I'm sure people want to reach out, get in contact with you. What is the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, I think social media, LinkedIn is where I'm most active. So Mason McDonald on LinkedIn. And then also I teach either successful corporate individuals or current business owners how to do what I'm doing, which is just coachingwithmason.com. I one-on-one coach people through my entire business, give them all the systems, processes, policies, and procedures that I do. But you have to have some track record of success to get to work with me. But LinkedIn or coachingwithmason.com.
Cool. All right. I will put those links in the show notes. So if y'all want to reach out to Mason, just click a little more in the description. It'll pull down the full description, and in there you can find Mason's links. All right, man. That wraps it up. Thank you very much for hopping on the show.
Gabe, it was a pleasure.
Absolutely. For everybody who's here with us today, thank you guys for showing up. You guys are the reason we do this. So if you have any questions whatsoever, reach out to me, Gabe at therealestateinvestingclub.com. And if you guys want to support the show, all we ask is give us a like, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Other than that, I hope you have a great week. Keep rocking real estate, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.
All right, before I officially sign off, I have a quick announcement to make. If you're interested in becoming a passive investor in one of my deals, my own company, Kaizen Properties, is looking for capital partners for our upcoming projects. We invest in what are known as recession-resistant assets, mainly self-storage facilities, mobile home and RV parks, and industrial properties. If you're interested in investing and would like to learn a little bit more about my company, our investing criteria, and some of the previous projects we've done, go to the Real Estate Investing Club podcast at therealestateinvestingclub.com and scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page. Click on the Invest With Us button. That'll pop up the investor form. Fill that out, and we will reach back out to you as soon as we can. Or if you prefer a little bit more of a personal touch, you can reach out to me at gabe@therealestateinvestingclub.com. So really, that is it. Again, it was a pleasure hanging out with you guys during this episode, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.